you know, also, reputations being what they are. Well, you know. So with that 10, yeah,
Oh,
he's like he
well, it's
said
not actually a 10. Due to the Silver Tongue college ability,
Mhm.
when you make a persuasion or deception check, you can treat a d20 roll, not the
Mhm.
total, of a 9 or lower as a 10, and that's
Oh,
a
okay.
5, so it becomes a 15.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with that is like he sort of hmm, I don't know what I was gonna say. Hmm. This is citadel. Um, that is a Sewell word. Old Sewell word.
Yes.
How much do you know about the great cataclysms?
Uh, Mostly surface level stuff that I learned the basic history of.
Well, I once, in fact, this is one of the reasons why I retired. I went with a group into the Sea of Dust. It's way to the south, to the west southwest, almost on the corner of the map, right? If you look at the map in Greyhawk, as used to be where the great Soul Empire existed, but they fell prey to great magics from the Bakloonish Empire as a retaliation for, well, what happened. I don't know if it's the great invoke devastation for one and the rain of colors fire for the other. I never figured out. It's just great magics killed a lot of people. That's what I know. However, I've also heard rumors that not everyone that escaped the Seoul Imperial was of, shall we say, right mind and stout heart, if you will. There was an empire known for its dark magics and, well, powerful magical items. And there's been always rumors in every nation that somewhere there's hidden caches or cities or outposts of the Sul where dark magics and even darker rituals were held at one point or may still be there. I do know the Scarlet Brotherhood has a particular interest in the Pomage. I have friends down there. The old saying is good to have low friends in convenient places. And these fellows are pretty low. Um, and they are in convenient places until they probably get stabbed in the back, in which case it's, well, stop being convenient for them or me. But suffice it to say that I know that the Scarlet Brotherhood is being sniffing around, and they are or claim to be pure Suel. So if there's anything down there, it might be what your master was looking for. He did ask similar questions to you. Did I know anything about the Citadel? And I basically Sea of Dust. I did. And I swear by all the gods, good and foul, that I would never return to such a place. It is. I think I left something of myself there. And to be honest, I don't care to go back and get it back. Can stay
When
buried
uh when did you last see him?
for about a year or so. He was doing the tour in the Grand Opera House, a winter season. For the nobles, you see, they love
Yeah.
their high music, and they think of Bakloonish stuff as being very exotic, for whatever that means. Basically, when people say exotic, they mean that we're completely ignorant of the situation and we have no idea what we're talking about, so we label it exotic, as opposed to be just different. That's
Seems
what my
accurate.
experience. But they're willing to pay good coin, so your master took advantage of that.
All right. Well, Scarlet Brotherhood. Have I heard of them before?
Yeah,
Do I?
as someone from the Bakloonish tradition, I mean, your old traditions come all the way back to the twin cataclysms, and the Bakloonish and the Suol have had this fight, and this enmity for generations. And rumor has it that during the Greyhawk Wars, a lot of the strife, especially in the south, center and south of the continent, came from them. That they conquered great swaths of territory, killed, assassinated leaders. They're all known for their subterfuge. They're also known for something that you thought was unique to Bakuni's lands, which is empty hand combat styles, non-weapon forms. Um, you thought that was unique to the Baklunish, but apparently the Scarlet Brotherhood also practices, although you haven't seen it yourself. But that they have the rumor that they can kill with their bare hands, uh, and in ways that most combatants cannot even fathom. Right? Most people just use a knife or a dagger or just a big chunk of wood or something, right? Or magic. But apparently they have the ability to kill with their bare hands as effectively as someone wielding a sword, if not more so.
Interesting. All
You
right.
do know, as a bard who is from the Baklunish land, that they are monk traditions from
Mm-hmm.
the Baklunish, right? They're devout followers of the deities of the pantheon of the Baklunish. They practice actually two deities are almost dedicated to that. In game terms, they don't follow exactly the monk path as in the fifth edition, but if anybody makes a monk, I suppose I could try to rig something for them without breaking the system. But yeah, they're more of pure mind, and even apparently they even have the ability to manipulate other people's thoughts and ideas.
Wow. What was this guy's name again?
Rickard Damaris. Let me put it in chat. I have so many windows open. R.A. Rickard here.
Okay. Rickard Damaris at.
Green Dragon Inn.
Okay. Make sure
He's the
it's
proprietor.
proprietor. Okay. All right. Cool. Um. Great. Uh. Did I find anything out about other people who go into the arena a lot?
He doesn't know much. He does know that there's a returning champion and his team. Let's see who the returning champion is. Let me look at my notes. Um, um, a returning champion is none other than Ekane Smallcast. Uh, Apparently he has won the the gladiatorial games in the past 3 years.
All right.
Is it? Yeah, someone who seems to be very successful in that. Is that his name? I believe. Let me check. I want to make sure I give you the right name and don't change it afterwards when I was like, oh no, that's the right name.
Gotta say, keeping notes straight, definitely the hardest part.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can concur with this.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
I have changed NPCs' names a dozen times from the first encounter.
yeah. No, I do have extensive notes in this. Now, I will double check if that's the name that we're gonna have for now. If not, then we're gonna continue with something.
Be
Okay.
wrong, you never know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's a returning champion for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Him and his team.
Okay.
Mm. Probably made a lot of coin. And also Rickard said that he's about, normally champions don't have that winning. First of all, they don't have that great winning streak. And second, mostly because, well, the games are not, when combat between gladiators is not necessarily to the death, but it can happen that people are injured or killed severely, even with healing magics and the like. It can simply happen that people sort of fight to the death and or just get tired. I mean, over 2,000 gold plus whatever winnings from a good run, after a couple of years, you're rich, beyond more money you can spend. In fact, the current owner, you did tell you the current owner of the gladiatorial games and the stadium is a former champion that had, I think, a 5-year streak.
Yep.
And eventually he retired.
Okay.
So, and name of the you already gave the name, but I'm going to give it to you again. Loris Rachnian or Lord Rachnian, as is known formerly, is the owner of the arena. He was able to buy himself a title. So yeah, he's a baronet.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So-
that's pretty
Mhm.
much what I wanted to get covered.
Okay.
And then if Kix wants me to do anything, then I can do stuff.
Well, I mean, I'd probably offer to have you come around as we try to scope out the competition ahead of time. Try to figure out who are the really good duos and trios. And so we can plan around that. If it comes to solos, it's just just throw out your best and see what happens. So that's not a difficult one. But the
Yeah.
combos.
If you talk to Ellen will tell you that the best place to start getting information will be at the party. That's called at the free dinner before the where you basically you eat, drink, load up with carbs, and get told the exact rules of the game, as it were, or games.
Right. So not a lot to do beforehand then.
No. Also
I
because
guess- yeah.
people might not be available, have arrived yet. There's always last minute cancellations and stuff like that. So
Right. But there's no rumors going around who may show up or what they might be doing.
no, not at this moment.
Okay. In that case, Kix is probably just going to go ahead and mind business around town, talk to some of the contacts he's met before, and just clarify plans and things. And other than that, make sure he has some shiny new garb to go over his armor whenever he goes to the tournament.
So any Gar, you're doing your research. Are you going to do any rolls for that at this
I
moment?
feel like that's literally entirely up to you.
Well, start making rolls.
Because, I mean, Guard, are you automatically successful? I think I am. Hold on, I was literally doing a whole trace about the route that it would take to get to the Scarlet Brotherhood. Sorry. Gotta bring the windows back up. What roll am I making here? History? Arcana?
Yeah, history. First history, then Arcana.
Ah, come on. There we go. Arcana at least hit me.
Yeah. You discover that there's something called the Apostolic Scrolls. And these essentially they're supposedly a font of information, almost to apostolic, as the apostle John, apostle, no, apostolic, apostolic, yeah. And exactly. And they might contain the kind of information that you have. In fact, supposedly there was a copy of them in the dark vaults, in the Underdark, and someone or something absconded with them. Apparently, they also have connections to different dark deities, depending on which source you're in. These scrolls are from deities such as Ayus, Chaos, and then there is even a mention of Taris Dune.
So you said I was like IUZ?
IUZ, yeah.
I thought he was dead. All right, whatever.
No, he's very much alive.
Yo, yeah, I mean, my problem is I've been doing a lot of background research on my own, and some things say he died, and some things say he's currently sitting on a throne. So it's like, okay, I'm confused, but whatever.
As far as everybody knows, he is the ruler of a nation of the same name.
Right. Up in the northeast.
Yeah.
Northeast.
Yeah. And one of the instigators of the Greyhawk War. So, yeah.
Yep. Very old.
In fact, we should have named the old one, or the unmentionable one, because, he's a horrid creature. And there's Taris Dune. In fact, roll Arcana for me on Taris Dune, because that one is very important.
Let me bring back the page.
Wow.
Okay, I'm saying I clicked you. Work for me.
Damn, 28. What do you know about Taris Dune? Even though the information is very catchy, it takes a while for you to put things together. Supposedly, this is a very ancient, nigh primordial being of annihilation, destruction, annihilation, pure chaos. Their followers believe that he will literally unmake reality, all reality, and that only a chosen few will be found in the rebirth of the universe. Connected to the Scarlet Brotherhood and supposedly he's a Suol deity, or people in the Suol Empire have worship him, and his items, his artifacts and items are extremely powerful, but they're almost all of them lead to chaos, madness, and ultimate destruction. Like there's no way to come in contact with anything connected to Taris Dune and just come out at the very least sane. But they're extremely powerful. And apparently, also there's a tale that he has been imprisoned, somewhere in the multiverse or even outside the multiverse, and his followers are trying to bring him back to our reality. And then when that happens, it's game over for everybody else.
Hold on one sec. I've got three. I have three questions. One, I don't recognize the name, so is that how you spell it?
No, let me. It's a.
Apologize for the hungry dog.
It's okay. It's a cute doggy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sweetheart.
I had three questions. Now I'm already starting to forget them. I have questions.
If sources are accurate, I actually know what his moniker is.
That
Not
name I
his
remember.
name, but his what he is called when not used by his proper name.
I would say, is there a chance, because I recognize the spelling of that, but it doesn't ring a bell for me right now. Does he have a more common? No, I'm using the word common out of character. Alias.
Well,
I'm not asking for it if I didn't get it in my research. I'm just asking.
With that 28, you got. There is inklings that he is connected to the Elder Elemental Eye.
Okay.
And your research goes to one story about the Battle of Emerald Meadows, where this near Veluna, which is to the west again, where there was this temple known as the Temple of Elemental Evil, and it rose as a threat to that area. The powers that be united and sealed it. But they couldn't brace it. They destroyed the armies that came out of it and was able to seal it magically. It's supposed to be there still, although they're also contradicting reports that it was razed to the ground, but that it was completely eradicated.
Got it.
So there are many names for this. It's the all-consuming void, the Elder Elemental Eye, of course, Taris Dune. In fact, I keep repeating the name, but many of the sources caution you not to say that name.
Right. Another question I had which is probably something I actually already know in character, I'm assuming. But
Mhm.
my problem is I've done a lot of research, and my sources get mixed up because different things happen in different editions of the game.
That is very true.
Is Nerul still alive? Is he still the greater entity?
Well, the way it's described is as follows: were he ever to resurface again, all of the gods would unite.
Nerul, I'm saying Nerul.
Nero Thursdays, yes.
Okay. See, because
Yeah.
sometimes it seems like in different editions he's changed his name or a different entity has taken over his bailiwick.
Yeah, no, that's
An M
that's a
name
different
I
deity.
can't remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a different deity of death and murder and the undead.
Got
Although
it.
there's several deities that also Terratune has been linked at their times with the deities before: Ius, Vegna, Nehru. It seems that there's a sort of mega conspiracy theory in the notes where people say that the real power behind these other deities is always Terratune, right? But the way it's phrased is like it's just sheer speculation. Like people have sort of stumbled into the ideas like this is so terrible that it must be the big evil. It's like, well, the universe is more complex.
Oh
than
yeah, no,
that.
I suspect I'm reading stuff from like the Forbidden Library, that sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting the tail end of things nobody wants to talk about.
And in fact, most of the stuff you find it's not even like a single book. It's more like one book references the other, and you have over the years and centuries, people have scribbled notes on the corners and stuff like that, or have a piece of paper stuck in, and that's where you're getting your information. Then
Oh no,
really,
I imagine I'm there in a library with like parchment on the side, like stack of books. Like, all right, page 76 of this book, line this mentions this from this guy, 7 other books. All right, page this says this about this guy. I have a whole parchment of references and books and page numbers and everything like that where I've made my own notes connecting everything together.
Yeah, and in fact, you find an equal or even greater amount of notes saying that the way this entity is described, it's impossible for it to exist. That rather it's more of a the ultimate boogeyman, right? It's Terratune stands for essentially the nothingness of true death, right? And so people fear it. In fact, you find another a book which is one of the reasons why it's called the Apocrypha section, because it claims that the deities don't exist. What exists is common belief, that the sheer power of people believing in something, accepting as such, makes it real.
My problem here is that is actually the way that it works. So is that not known? Do we not know that for real?
Well, the problem with that is it's one of the many theories. Other theories is that deities are independent beings that are very powerful, etc. That theory, one of the reasons why it's buried is that followers of deities don't want to believe that. And so
I guess my problem is that I think maybe my head is too far into the meta, that I already know that like deities fight amongst each other to lock out their followers so that they fall lower into the sphere of lesser, greater, and whatnot, because the less people that are worshipping and believing in them, the less power they get. It's like
that is in fact not true in Greyhawk. That is true in Forgotten Realms.
It is true in Greyhawk in 1980. I don't know.
Yeah, it was, but
because it's the major event happens in Greyhawk, and I'm not going to spoil it because part of it is part of the story I'm trying to tell, and it very much involves locking out other gods so that one god can become the god.
Yes, I know. The thing is, that's one of the theories, but many followers of deities, by virtue of the one that they don't want to admit that deities are, well, fallible. I mean, they know they're limited, but not fallible because, they believe in the gods, right? They want to believe that the deity is an entity that has always existed, always been there, and, it's a fixture of the universe. To believe that it's people who create deities and deities creating people, well, kind of connotes every creation myth out there that you know of, etc. So that's one of the reasons why it's an apocrypha, right? It's like, in fact, the way it's written is like this is the truth about our creation. It is us. It is the mortals who have the real power. You know,
I mean,
instead
it's
of
why
this,
I get into fights in bars, and because it's the
Yeah.
theological equivalency of sorry, I can't remember now. My brain stopped working. Of having
Yeah.
it's land ownership with a king, and you live on the land, you till the land. It's the theological equivalent of that. It's a monarchy out
in
there.
divine. It's the equivalent of saying that no one can be governed without their consent, versus a king has inherent power because of their bloodline or divine right of king or something like that, right? It's that kind of
Somebody put them there a long time ago, and now you on the bottom of the pyramid have to deal with them on the top. It's the same way. Followers, you put them up there, and now you may curse the name of Nerul, but Nerul exists because he was put there.
very much so. But of course, the followers of the rule will say that he was always there, and he's the one who.
Well, I
Act
mean,
with
probably at this
us,
point, the followers of Nerul are being forced to say.
True. Oh, willingly.
Well,
So,
some
yeah,
of them
again-
are. Some of them are like, "We'll kill you if you don't." You know.
So, and that particular theory says that that because of that, the very concept of Chariots Doom cannot exist because it's literally the concept of nothingness, right? And so it's more a collective projection of our fear of non-existence as opposed to an actual entity that existed primordially before all things existed. And there's another thing that has to do with a pact with devils and demons. I mean, there's so much stuff about this stuff that it's so contradictory that it's like it could happen, maybe has an impact in our world, clearly has a connection to the soul and the undead, directly or indirectly, and it may or not be the ultimate of evil. But then what is good and what's
Possibly.
evil?
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point, it's not the ultimate evil; it's the ultimate negator. It's the force in between that ends it all.
Yeah. So, yeah. Again, you with that role, you were so successful finding so much information that ultimately a lot of that information kind of contradicts itself.
You were so successful; you got too much information.
Pretty much.
Your
You
brain
discovered
explodes.
more questions.
Well, I mean,
That's what it often does when you do research.
right,
yeah.
right. So yeah, so if we come back to me before the session ends, I would like to refine my search, and I will define that later.
Mhm. So yeah, you're deep in the books, and you're not the only one. I mean, there's a bunch of people doing this, so nobody bats an eye.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know.
library. It's not my library. It's a library.
Yeah.
Just to
Oh.
clarify, lessons. This is the edition version of Greyhawk deities, yes?
Huh?
Are we following the 5th edition version of Greyhawk deities? Or are we following like older editions where they have like a bunch of extra ones that are not in there?
Basically, we're following this version of the deities, which is 3rd edition. They got the tiers.
Okay.
Because this one is the one that is the most complete list that I found. 5th edition has basically a trunken vision. It was like, hey, if you wish to play Greyhawk outside of Forgotten Realms, which you publish everything for Forgotten Realms, here's a couple of deities you can use, right?
Yeah, the thing I
Here's
was
the cool big
referencing.
ones that you should think about.
The thing I was
Yeah.
referencing comes from 2nd edition, so I know I'm a little still behind the times.
Yeah. 3rd edition was when Greyhawk was the setting, right? And so technically they published a lot of stuff for 3rd edition. That essentially everything that came out of 3rd edition was in Greyhawk by definition. Like everything today, if they don't tell you it's Forgotten Realms, because that's a designated setting of the edition. But, at the same time.
Well, they also published a lot of stuff that was setting generic, but was
Yeah.
also assumed to be in Greyhawk. But it was generic enough that you could put it anywhere if you wanted to.
Because literally the world of Greyhawk was renamed in 5th edition the D&D world. Like the Pantheon was a D&D Pantheon. The world was,
Know that like for 3rd edition, I think pretty much every single god and goddess they've ever created, plus some extra ones, are in there, like in some form. So like I know like you got like really random ones that I remember, right? Like I remembered there was like a god that was just known as the Mockery God. I don't even know if that's like a thing still.
Probably a couple of them. Yeah. I mean,
So I
there's
went
I mean, there's also the fact that, especially in first edition, there were so many modules, published adventures, and a lot of times they just threw in a demon here, a deity there, stuff like that. Because the thing about Greyhawk is that it got built up from Gary Gygax and his team and his players in Castle Greyhawk, and then it grew organically as people started publishing more and more adventures, as opposed to the way Forgotten Realms was made. And I don't want to make too much fun of Forgotten Realms, but it's true. The way it was done, which basically was by committee, basically. Ed Greenwood had this very big map, his big idea, and all these notes, and then he sold it to TSR and said, like, okay, you three work on the South. You 25 people the next 15 years are going to write nothing but Waterdeep stuff. And then Waterdeep is not important. We're going to go to Neverwinter. Neverwinter is not important. We're going to go over to the Sea of Stars and the North. Oh, we're making video games about the North, and we're going to spend next 10 years talking about the North, right? It's sort of like throw everything in. It has Egyptians, it has Aztecs, it has Oriental adventures, it has earlier editions had an invasion from not the Persians, but like the Golden Horde that came in and swept in from the east, and it's all over the place, though.
Hey,
It's
it's still
fun.
better curated than Pathfinder, which literally had everything in one continent. So,
Yeah.
favorite for that was always you have you have barbarians with space lasers because a UFO flying saucer crash landed in their frozen wastes, and now they have their tech.
It's funny that you mentioned that because
I know where this is coming
it's Expedition to the Barrier Peaks exists in Greyhawk. Although, but the caveat is that you can only use that for a limited amount of time. So you get a space gun that lasts for about 6 weeks or something, runs a battery, and that's it. No more space gun for you. No more power armor.
Just like, hey, we got space lasers. Use them all you want. It gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
But that's Pathfinder. That's not D&D.
Anyway, so you done all that. We let's come out of the deep ocean of the Greyhawk meta, which I was trying to avoid as much as possible. So not to overwhelm my players who mostly don't know much about this stuff. So let's take a break, breathe, and come back to the more mundane aspects of the setting, shall we? Fun, but I got you.
By now, Braith and Hugh came back.
Yes, so everybody's back together again in the Sleeping Giant Inn, and
would relay the information to Kix about what's going on. Apparently, the dwarves are already beginning to work. You also have a contingent of the Suit Scale tribe that are willing to work there as well. They're referring to you as almost like a deity, it seems like.
Oh, that sort of escalated quickly, huh? I thought they just thought I was interesting.
Interesting enough to start help with the building efforts.
Well, I suppose as long as they're being helpful, I can't complain.
I also have this missive from Master Zadrian.
Ooh.
And if you could understand it, please explain it to me. He said something about imbuing your keep with the same magic that we encountered in his tower. And he swears it will work this time because we're building it from the ground up.
Oh, I remember the last time we talked with him. He said he was warding it off against extra-dimensional influences. And if I remember right, the last time we were at that keep, there was a big portal to another Fey dimension that could open up and bring vines into the world and slowly start to consume everything. Maybe that's a very good idea. Just maybe.
All right, then perhaps you should write a letter to Master Zadrian and have it sent out to him.
Well, time to get my best words on this. So I'll go ahead and start drafting a letter that will basically say, yeah, go ahead, good.
Did you find out anything about the competition?
No, most of them haven't even arrived, and the only ones we really know about is the champion that's already been here for long enough.
Do we sponsoring him or her?
I think that's all going to be announced over at the party. I don't think many people really know the inner workings of it outside those who are really in the arena in the first place.
Very well,
So,
Master
no
Kix.
better time than to ask them then.
Well, Master Kix. Master Hugh.
Yes.
How is your fox cape?
Oh, it's wonderful. It makes me look impressive. As I pull it down over my face.
Go ahead.
I was just stalling for time there. Sorry.
No, I was turning on the AC, so it's being a bit hot in here. So yeah, to repeat what is in the letter again, yes, like Braith explained, if you build the alchemical planner web as you're building the castle, the keep, which will be the Kick stronghold, this can also be extended to any other strongholds you make. Right now you have ability to make the stronghold on the surface, right? And you also have the underground area, which could be used for a magical stronghold as well. It has a small library and circle for experimentation and that. So if you're going to build more than one stronghold, you can build more of those, and you have thing. Like I said, you have the dwarves are going to basically have having a pre-existing structure halves the cost from 10,000 to 5,000. Having the dwarves halves it again to 2,500. But with the alchemical web, it goes back to 5,000 because it doubles the cost.
Right. So we're back to where I initially thought our price point was going to be, which we're still doing really good on, even if we don't win the tournament and we just follow through on a bunch of deals. But winning the tournament is good because that means we can still get more things in the future.
Yep.
As well as paying upkeep and eventually upgrading your upkeep. In fact, if you have more than one stronghold, it officially becomes a castle. Those are the rules as written, which really don't make a lot of sense, but that's what they're going with.
Master Braith, there's something also occurred to me. We don't necessarily need to win either. We also just need to look good.
You're correct. I've been thinking about it for a bit. One of the primary reasons we want to be in this tournament is simply to advertise ourselves, to say that we are as strong as we say we are, and that we can do the thing that we're set out to do. I'm not exactly nobility, I just have title to the land grant. I'm sure at any point in the future, someone with actual blood in their veins and stick up their ass could come by and say it's theirs now. Unless we prove ourselves to be worthy of it.
I was going to say, doesn't that actually give you a grant in nobility? No?
I was gonna say it kind of does. Also,
don't
what
think
does having a
united or
stick up your
anything.
butt do for power?
It's metaphor, Master Hugh.
It makes you very irritable. I hear it gives you great fury. But I guess I'll toss that over to Lessons. Lessons, I'm pretty sure they didn't actually grant me full noble blood title. I just have title to land.
You are a noble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
that's
wrong.
We're talking about the Middle Ages here, medieval times. Grants of terrain go with the title because ordinary people usually do not. I mean, the idea is that all land belongs to the sovereign, and the nobility are just simply keepers of that land.
Right. Okay, so then I would only amend that in saying a bigger, more important noble could come in with a stick up their ass and say it's theirs.
Yeah.
Unless we prove we are worthy to keep it.
You're actually, I said that you were the lowest rung. You're one rung above, right? Because there's semi-noble titles like Squire or Esquire. Actually Squire, but sometimes said Esquire as well. It's legal title. And there's Baronet, which is a title of nobility without any land grant. Just you're a noble and we recognize you as such, right? And whatever rights will be, follow on to your family, but not so there's that.
Okay. Kix family line. I'm gonna need a last name.
Have a last name, Kix?
No. I've always just been good Kix until people started giving me the nickname.
Well, why not just play with the nickname and turn it into a last name?
It's not a bad idea, honestly.
Lord Shield.
Shield holder, bearer. I'll have to workshop it a little bit.
How about the Shelled?
I think that's Gar's.
Oh, that's my
Perhaps,
sequel.
and you know what? I just realized, technically, I'm the only human in the group, even though I don't know that. But is there actually some sort of role I would be able to make to determine how one could actually select the last name, like legally?
I mean, you can just you can inscribe a name. That's part of the heraldry, the process of the heraldry, right? Um, so you can always go to lawyers, basically, the scribes and lawyers guild, and go, hey, get me in contact with the heralds, and I want to amend my paperwork because I have this title, whatever. You can always do that, right?
Okay. Well, I will relay that information to Kix if he ever chooses to do it.
Okay, so something to keep in mind then.
Are we? Oh, by the way, did we pick actually what our heraldry will look like yet?
I think we did last time, and there was the one you made, I believe.
I still think the tree with the guy hanging from it is the
Field.
perfect.
Ah, yes, the hanged man. Ah, my favorite. Where is it?
It's the fish wearing pants, right? What we're going with.
Yeah.
I
There we
made
go.
one. and you also
Copy.
I mean, yeah, Robert made a serious one. I just
Yeah,
tossed out all the
Yeah,
ridiculous
here,
ones
I'll
I could find.
repaste that one right there into our chat.
that thing. I actually forgot how I
Yep.
made it. It's a good thing you reposted it.
That's pretty good.
I didn't even think about it, but my cape matches the heraldry, kind of.
Yeah,
do Dragonborn have last names usually?
they have their clan name if they came from a clan, but
But
the
my family specifically escaped from one.
yeah. So I guess it would be the name of the dragon that created the clan.
Probably not the best PR move.
Yeah. But considering that is your magical birth parent, it was a red dragon. Yeah, it wouldn't be a good move.
Yes, I'm Jacob Satan. Same ring.
My name is Lou Cipher.
Damien Satan.
Well, I mean, you could rename. You could take the name of the land as your last name.
Ah,
It's true too. Yeah.
What's the name of the land? Please let it sound dumb.
I'm trying to remember.
It's we're part of the sister lands, right? Kix sister land.
Wild Coast.
No, that's
Yeah,
the name
there.
of the campaign.
It's also the
It's
area.
wild.
Really?
Yeah.
The name of the inland area is called the Wild. Okay.
It's reverse here, but yeah. I mean,
There's coast elsewhere.
Well, I don't mean the whole region. I mean specifically what's the name of the barony that Kix would be in charge of.
Oh,
like
that
what's
would be
the name?
his, basically. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that is his. I mean, it's the greater area of Narwhal, but
Kix Dimmadome.
Just Kixland? The last name becomes Kixland? Kixland.
the land of kicks.
We name it in the Nordic tradition, your name plus land.
But we need a name for the keep once it's built. So
Kix Keep. No, wait, I've got it. Just a keep.
actually, we probably should think of the name now so we can introduce it during the arena.
Oh, that should be the name of your land, too. Just a land. Just to keep his name is on just a land. Come on, keep the tradition alive.
Is Paracat there?
Just a river, just a road, just a land.
I would actually just ask, Master Barakat, do you have any insight on this?
He has not been paying attention to this conversation at all.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, so he's not paying attention to your conversation. He's writing music stuff currently.
For my input's been entirely out of character. I didn't know this is any part in character.
I just assumed it was.
I'm not there. I'm at a library.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, Magnus 114. We're talking about the area of Narwhal itself, which is the last one in that list. So
Wait, does that
You
mean
have
that
the-
Kix is in charge of Narwhal as well?
no, that's the nearest city or town to it, but he's in charge
So
of his
Kix
own.
is in charge of a land card in Narwhal, but not actually the city of Narwhal, township of Narwhal.
Yeah,
That's confusing.
nearby, adjacent to.
We named our land for the land that we're not actually on.
Anyway, Gar is doing his research. Everybody else is together. The 2 weeks are about to pass unless anybody else has anything else want to do. So you're introducing the party, and the party is very. It's weird because it's fancy, right? But it's a heady mix of like the superstar here are the warriors, right? The fighters, the groups here. For example, you see off the bat, you recognize at least 3 groups that are ethnically themed. You see a group of people that are short. They're a group of halflings and gnomes. You see another one that seems to be all elves, and they're all female elves. And one which is all Baclunish as well. And then another one which seems to be mixed. Different, more like an adventuring party, which has different people, mostly humans, but not exclusively, like as a cleric and a fighter. So like, and among them is the person I mentioned, which was what's his name? Ecame Smallcask. And they have a giant buffet with rich meats and pastries. It's weird because normally, I mean, you sometimes find this in noble parties, but clearly this is sort of a clash of cultures, right? Most of the fighters, for the most part, are clearly not noble born. Maybe the elves, they carry themselves with a sort of decorum. You see, among the elves, there is one lady, she's very tall, and she has a hood, and she's also wearing a veil and wearing dark clothes. And apparently, she doesn't speak to anyone. In fact, only one of the leaders, the leader of the elves, right? Sort of, she's the one that talks, and nobody else does much to talking. And then when they talk among each other, anybody knows Elven? Nope.
Don't think so.
I gotta actually double check. Yeah, just common draconic here.
Yeah, I mean, you recognize the language because other elves speak it, but you don't know what they're saying. But it seems to be that among themselves they speak in Elven, and only the leader speaks common to whoever they're addressing, and they're always sticking together. What are you going to do during this party? People are eating, and there's no dancing. There's a lot of discussions, and you see a lot of nobles and young rich people kind of drawn to their favorite groups. Or they believe to be like, these are the superstars. These are the people who are going to be fighting in the games, and they're excited and ask questions and stuff like that.
Barakat, I'm gonna ask you a favor. I'd like you to go ahead and talk around to people and figure out what they're about. I think I probably have to entertain them and talk us up a bit.
Okay. So, I guess I'll be doing interviews then.
Before we get to interviews, at the party, I want to look around for any sort of communications that are druidic. Just to see if there is any other druids so we can kind of get a leg up.
No, you don't find any of the groups that has a druids. You find that one of the elves had a priestess. She is a priestess of Corellian Larethian, which is the chief deity of the elves. And when she's looking around, you notice that she kind of stares at you for a moment. You're wearing your hell symbol, right? Openly. Yeah, she sort of looks at you. And I was like, laughs a little bit, says something, presumably in Elven, to someone else. They point in your direction, and they sort of kind of shrug, and they keep to their group, right? But don't seem to do anything else.
No worries.
But no, you don't find, at least none in these groups, you don't find any
Perfect.
any Druids that you know of.
Perfect.
Can I scan the room for, I guess, like with a perception check or something to see if there are other folks of some sort of religious deities that are around there? Like,
Oh yeah,
if
go
I,
ahead. Yeah.
just to get like a sense of who is
Mhm.
actually being presented there.
Yeah.
So that's an 8. So probably not going to get much.
No, you see a few people in different religious garb. You know that there are some major churches here, but you know, nothing you can recognize off the bat. Maybe it's because it's a very crowded place. So picking up someone who is of importance, maybe just missed them.
All right, that's fair enough. I will continue then. I'm gonna have something to eat because I'm hungry.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of and it's like finger food and pastries, and and you see a very tall guy, broad shoulder. He clearly is Suo, but he's from the north, on the northern banana. He just takes a plate and he's just like scooping food, and he sees you, puts the plate aside, grabs another plate, scoops it, hands it to you, and keeps scooping food in his plate
And
without saying a word.
I give him a nod and I say thank you.
Great warriors come with great stomachs.
That's
And
a good
he's
photo to have.
and he walks and he grabs he grabs like 2 tankards of ale and starts drinking one, and without spilling the other one. It's like, how the hell does he manage to do that? But apparently he does it. And he puts the plate down somewhere, starts popping finger foods in his mouth. And this guy's huge. Like he's a wall muscle, right? Barely. And he also wearing strategically placed leathers, right? That they look very voluminous, but you see he's showing quite a bit of skin, like in his arms and shoulders, right? And he has cuts and he also seems to be part of Ikaim's group. Um,
He's
and so
peacocking, I'm assuming.
yeah, very much. And you see a lot of young women, and not so young women, sort of, kind of, sort of do the thing where they circle around him, but and you see one of them do the, if you've seen Captain America, the first when he
I
comes,
know what you mean.
when he comes out of the machine, it's like, they do that, and he kind of smiles, and but he sort of, for someone who looks so, he actually seems to be playing coy, right? But his eyes, you notice, is very easy because he's not hiding it. His eyes are on somebody else, right? Across the room, right? Like he's playing the role of like being, very coy here, but his eyes are all across the room. If they're paying attention or not, you're not really sure.
He's scanning competition while he's being fawned over. Another question, if I may. What's like the general age of a lot of the competitors?
Most of them are pretty young. This is very much a young man's game.
Probably very out of place because I'm probably one of the oldest in the room.
Yeah, very much so. No one here is older than 30. At least for those who are of human age. Right? We talk about elves or gnomes. It's harder to tell. It's harder to tell, but humans, half elves, they're in that age range. And even then, you would say that even the elves kind of look on the younger side. Right.
So I'm probably one of the oldest combatants in this entire thing. Okay, I'm just curious. Good to know.
In fact, as you're looking around, kind of a relatively older lady and in finery, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Are you one of the competitors?
I am, madam.
Oh, and she starts doing the thing where she wants to touch your chest, oh, you're a strapping gentleman.
I thank you for your kind words.
So, it's your first time, is it? Because I haven't seen you before.
Yes, I am here representing a a new combatant into the games.
Huh?
That we're hoping will bring good glory and good renown for all of Greyhawk, as well as my friend's own reasons, of course. And I point specifically to Kix.
And he looked across the room and was like, I heard about him. There's been rumors around the city of some lizard man running around with red skin. I suppose it's scales, not skin. Don't wish it to be, offensive, anything. But I've never seen one before. Oh, dear. Will you excuse me? And she just sort of, she's about 50, close to 60, and but she just makes a beeline for where Kix is at.
That's fine.
Right, and one moment you were the center of attention, now, you're just, she left you in the dust.
If she's about to get to Kix, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, excuse me, madam. And I almost hit her, veer out of the way.
Yeah, you try, but she kind of dances around you. You're like, what the?
Dancing. She's good at that.
Yeah. And she's like, yes. Thank you. Fetch me a drink, please. And without even looking at you, and she goes to Kix. And Kix, you're attracting quite a bit of attention here because obviously you stand out. So.
Right.
People asking
and I'm
questions.
here trying to attract it and keep a handle on it.
People asking where you're from and what are you doing and have any specialities. So and one young man elbows in. Like, I bet he breathes fire and grows wings. He's gonna fly. It's like, stupid. You can't fly. It's only a 30 or 40 feet ceiling unless you have magic. Blah blah blah. And one is explaining to the other the specifics of the rules and the history of the game. So and he was like, yeah, I know that, but he's like a dragon, right? And it's like, no, come on, super. He's not an actual dragon. He's a dragonborn. It's like literally you have two people discussing the player's handbook description of what a dragonborn is right in front of you. That's what's happening, right?
And I'll like try to interject and go, maybe a demonstration, and I'll hold up a candle and I'll just like do the tiniest puff, just like as party trick.
And you're like, oh.
Trying to like do it polite and not panic anyone because obviously a fire breath at 15 feet would demolish everything.
Yeah, no, people are excited, right? You do that, and more people come in and crowd, etc. And so these different personalities. Eventually, two individuals call attention to all of you. They said out. This is these two right here. Lord Ragnian, Master of the Games. And someone who seems to be walking with him wearing chainmail and weapons. I also have several bodyguards. And it's the second fellow who talks. He says,